Hi everybody, happy Sunday. I hope that wherever you are and whatever you are doing, you are having an amazing weekend. It's a bit wet in the greenhouse right now. I have literally just watered my tomatoes. This one my friend Bill gave me, it's doing great. This one's doing great as well. It's another one from Bill. And then also we have some cucumbers that I put in, I think on Sunday evening. The peppers that I purchased last week are doing well. Over here, tomatoes that I have planted are all coming up amazingly well. There's a few stragglers, but there always are. This was a store purchased tomato, as was this one. They are coming up fantastically well. And then over here, I have a geranium cutting that is growing nicely. I also have some more tomatoes and some tomatillos, which is what this one and this one is. So fantastically doing well. This is another of Bill's tomatoes. And the whole greenhouse is starting to smell like tomatoes, which is phenomenal. I also have some news here on the front of my driveway. Sorry for the shadow. It's a very bright sunny day today, but you can see my irises are coming up. It looks like my watering can has fallen over. Just ignore that. My irises are coming up fantastically, and my abutilon is also doing lovely things. It's recovering. It got blanched a little last month when it was in the greenhouse on a really hot day, but there's some nice new leaves coming, and it just reminds me that things are coming out of the ground and growing really nicely. This week, my new border, which I put in last week and you would have seen last week, is coming along nicely and things are growing. My roses are coming up, which is phenomenal. And over here, the fuchsias I purchased a few weeks ago are starting to think about coming into flower. I need to water these in a bit. I'm actually thinking about putting these fuchsias here in the border because fuchsias, these particular fuchsias, do not like direct sunlight. So I've got to figure out where I'm going to put them in the garden, where they have some shade and where they're not going to be given a huge amount of direct sunlight. There's a big temperature gradient between where I am now, bright hot sunny day. I think this is going to be the hottest day of the year, versus everywhere else. But I have to show you, look at these. These are my potatoes. I actually put fresh soil on them yesterday. You're supposed to heap up the potatoes as they come out of the ground, and it encourages the potatoes to turn some of those leaves into roots, and then you get more potatoes at the end of it. So eventually the soil is going to be like here, and hopefully everything underneath will be potatoes. Another batch of potatoes over here that are a little bit behind. So I planted that first batch when I left for the UK back in April, and these ones were planted when I came back. So you can tell there is a slight delay there. But check out my fruit trees. My fruit trees are looking amazing. So we've got a cherry tree there, a cherry tree there, an apple tree there, and an apple tree there, and an apple tree there. And then the other side of the garden, there is another apple tree. It really feels like things are trying desperately to play catch up, and it's so nice to be out in the garden and doing all of the things that I previously, the weather was a bit too naff for me to want to spend a huge amount of time outside. This weekend, it's going to hit pretty high temperatures for me, and so this weekend I'm hoping that I'm able to spend some time indoors because I don't like being out in the sun. But here is the next bit of big news. So underneath this is some wood which we purchased. You can see it in there. Some nice cedar, and it smells amazing, and some pressure treated lumber, because this space here, which is 20 feet long and 10 feet wide, is going to be my new greenhouse. Yes, I know I said I was going to cope with that little one, but my wife and I decided we have this tunnel greenhouse. It's not ideal. We're going to make the best of it though and put the tunnel greenhouse up, because then we can grow all of those tomatoes, all of those peppers, maybe some melons, some cucumbers. My goal is to have plenty of things in the garden so that everything is nice and ready to harvest by the end of the year. I also put in my onion sets. Those who watched a couple of weeks ago will know that I had put some onion seeds in that I'd started that didn't do very well. I got these from a local garden centre and I put them in, and they're actually going pretty well. I need to buy a new swisher, sprinkler, that's the word. My mum calls them swishers. I need to buy a new sprinkler to put in the ground because it's gonna get really hot in the next few days, and I've got to make sure that my ground and my plants are going to be properly watered, because we don't want to stop all of the goodness that we've started in the garden this year by losing plants because I've not had enough water. Here is a whole row of, or a whole box full of different corn that I put in since I last made the video. So you've got some, I believe on this side it's regular eating corn, then in the middle I've got some Indian corn, and then on the far rows I have popping corn, which I'm very excited to have. Never grown popping corn successfully in the past, so I'm hoping this year things are different. Over in the strawberry plot we have some good news. Let me show you our first strawberry flowers of the year. Everything is doing great, don't worry about this. This was me weeding in between the strawberry plants yesterday. I'm filming this on Thursday, so obviously Wednesdays are traditionally my day off and the rest of the team is off. I know I need to weed in here, but that's fine. Take a look at this. This is some chives that were given to me and I put them in, and they look like they've been there for years. And also I've got some blueberry bushes for the first time. I'm trying blueberries, but check out my my lemon balm. It looks amazing. I need to make some lemon tea. The other thing that I've done since I think I last saw you is I've put my sprouts and broccoli in, and I've also put in this ginormous rosemary bush. Again, that's from my friend Bill, so thank you, Bill. It looks like it's been here forever. It's already got some flowers on and it's doing amazing things. These leeks were from last year. I never ate all of them, but I actually dug one up and had one the other day for dinner. I was cooking and I needed a leek and I put it in and it was amazing. So I'm just going to leave them there this year. I know there's so much to cover right now, so I'm kind of going through really quickly. My peas are starting to climb. They are doing their thing and I'm very excited about the peas. My herbs have truly recovered from the winter. So I've got some thyme and some oregano or oregano, some more thyme there. And I've got some more brassicas growing up here. I've kind of forgotten which brassicas went where. So I think that those are broccoli as well, but we'll have to wait and see. We like broccoli in our family, so I'm not kind of bothered about planting extras. Some fava beans coming up, or broad beans if you're from the UK. These are coming up really nicely and I'm going to start staking these soon to make sure that they grow properly, nice and straight. But the thing that I really want to show you here is my Now We Wait part. If you saw the thumb, you might recognize this bed. This was new yesterday, so I made this yesterday right on the edge of my property. I cut the wood, screwed the wood together and then filled it with soil. One of the reasons you've got so many flies around is because this is fresh soil. It came from just there and is now here. You can also hear the chickens. They want to be out, but I'm not letting the chickens out because we don't have enough stakes to put around this particular plot yet, and I don't want the chickens coming along and helping themselves. So in here, this row here is that's going to be jack-o'-lantern pumpkins. So jack-o'-lantern pumpkins. Then I've got two lines of various winter squashes. Here I've got some butternut squash. No, I haven't. This is sweet pumpkins, like the small sugar pumpkins that you can use for cooking. And I've got two rows here of winter squashes, and then here I've got some courgettes or zucchini if you're in America. Over here I've just put in some broad beans and also some bush beans. So this is just going to be beans in here. I thought about using the Three Sisters method where you pair beans with corn and a few other things, but honestly I think I'm going to do that in a future year because I'm trying different things every year. There are some benefits and some drawbacks, but the Three Sisters method is what was used for many, many years by Native Americans. how to grow corn and beans together and ensure minimal pests. So I'm very interested in trying that out. Anyway, that is everything that's going on in the garden right now. It's kind of bonkers how much stuff is growing and how much is coming up, but really now it's just a case of waiting. I'm hopeful that by the time I next talk to you, which will be not next week because Kate's going to do the chicken and garden next week, but maybe in a week's time or 2 weeks' time, I will have a bit of an update to give you. Really? I will have an update to give you on the greenhouse, and I'm hopeful by that point that we will have the greenhouse all ready and up and everything else will work. Let me just adjust this camera so that you're not kind of looking at my legs instead of my head. There is so much going on in the garden at this time of year. It's so fine to be outside on a day like today and enjoy the garden, and it's really nice to see all the things that we've done to it and all of the growth that has been made possible just by the changing of the seasons and because of all of the water that we had over winter, whether it was from snowpack, snow melt, or whether it was just because of torrential rain, and we've had both this last winter. It feels like the water levels in our reservoir have come back up a bit, and it feels like actually this summer might be okay. But I don't want to say that for sure because you never know. You really do never know. But I would love to know in the comments below how things are going for you. Have you seen spring really kind of kick into high gear in the last couple of weeks? If you are in the southern hemisphere, are you now enjoying the fruits of your labour from this past growing season? Maybe you've got some lovely harvests. I want to know all about it. Tell us in the comments below. You can also drop us a polite note in the Discord chat room on Mastodon, or if you are a Patreon subscriber, you can also tell us there. If you want more, subscribe, hit the bell and follow the links to regularly support us to the YouTube membership or a Patreon subscription. You'll also find links to our Ko-fi, Bitcoin and Swag store, as well as that aforementioned Mastodon server. Scrolling on my right is the list of amazing charged up supporters, and shout outs go out to our V2G supporters. They are Alan Tupper, Andrew Martin, Bennett Elder, Brophy Wolf, Chris Maxwell, Cyprian Laplace, Dan Blair, Gordon C, Hay Esker, John Trammell, Kyle Fox, Mark Eggleton, Peter Dillinger, Regine Fellows, Sean Tucker, Stephen Fremgen, Stephen Williams, Taslet in the Gong, Paul Bricknell, Tony Moss, Carl Hodgson, Chris Centaur, Denny Hyde, Lance Schall, Linda Irish, Mike Weeder and Paul Nelson. And finally, big thanks to our off-grid supporters. They are Paul Conway, Kevin Burrowbridge, Stephen O'Donoghue, Jim Burness, Robert Flannery, Aaron Hahn, Ellery Hensley, Rory Litwin, JP Vegerback, Dave Kitchen, Andrew Glenn, Anonymous Freak, Chris and Michael Johnson, Clay Witt, CPU Freak 101, Eric Knack, Joe Bresney, John Henderson, Laura Reynolds, Marcel Ward, Matthew Drobnak, Nigel S, Reggie Watts, Will Graylin, and of course, Ian. Don't forget that we make videos every Monday, Wednesday, Friday and Saturday over on the main channel. And then of course, if you're here on a Sunday, you get Take Two's Sunday Musing and Chicken and Garden Update. You just watch the Chicken and Garden Update, but stick around. There is a Sunday Musing that will be published a little later today. I hope that wherever you are and whatever you're doing, you are having a lovely day. I hope that your weekend is an amazing one. And until next time, keep evolving.